Welcome to Achiever's Mindset Coach. Today, we're exploring an idea that challenges our most basic assumptions. Nothingness is the foundation of all things. This idea, popularized by philosopher Alan Watts, is both intriguing and paradoxical. How can nothing be the basis of everything? How can emptiness be a source of creation? In this video, we'll dive deep into Watts's philosophy of nothingness, explore how this concept is echoed in ancient teachings, and understand how embracing nothingness can transform our understanding of existence. Let's begin by asking, what is nothingness? According to Alan Watts, nothingness isn't simply the absence of things, rather it's the fertile ground, the backdrop against which all things come into being. Watts believed that just as silence gives meaning to sound, it's the empty space or nothingness that allows the universe to exist. He once said, "To have something, you must have nothing. Without nothing, you can't have something, because they're two aspects of the same thing." He challenges us to look at nothingness not as a void, but as the foundation, the necessary condition for everything to be. Nothingness in Eastern philosophy. Watts' perspective on nothingness has deep roots in Eastern philosophy. In Buddhism, for instance, there's the concept of sunyata, or emptiness. Emptiness is not considered a barren state, but rather a quality of existence that signifies openness, potential, and interdependence. Just like Watts's concept of nothingness, sunyata teaches that things don't exist independently, they arise in a space of emptiness, interconnected with everything around them. Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh puts it beautifully, "Thanks to impermanence, everything is possible." Here, emptiness and impermanence aren't limitations, but the very qualities that make life vibrant and dynamic. The nothingness in the creative process. Alan Watts didn't stop at the philosophical implications of nothingness. He saw it as a critical element of creativity. He believed that all creativity and innovation spring from a place of emptiness. When we allow the mind to empty and let go of preconceived ideas, true creativity flows naturally, unrestricted by the clutter of thoughts and conditioning. As Watts said, we are perpetually trying to keep things in a certain way, to control and arrange. But if we could allow the emptiness, we would see that things arrange themselves. If we think of a blank canvas, it's the emptiness of the canvas that gives the artist room to create. Watts believed the universe works in much the same way. Creation arises from nothingness. Nothingness as the foundation of identity. Watts also believed that nothingness lies at the core of our identity. He suggested that who we are is not just a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and experiences, but something far deeper, something that can't be defined or labeled. He once said, "The sense of your own existence and identity, the real you, is what there is when you stop thinking about it." This idea is also echoed in the teachings of Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching. He who defines himself can never truly know who he is. True identity, according to both Watts and Lao Tzu, can only be experienced when we let go of who we think we are, allowing space for the deeper self to emerge. The concept of duality. Watts believed that to understand nothingness, we must also understand duality. Life is full of contrasts, light and dark, sound and silence, something and nothing. One can't exist without the other. Just as Lao Tzu said in the Tao Te Ching, being and non-being create each other. In Watts's view, nothingness isn't the opposite of something, it's what makes something possible. When we look at the universe, we see that everything is a balance of opposites, and in this dance between being and non-being, existence emerges. How nothingness influences perception and acceptance. Watts believed that embracing nothingness shifts our perception of reality. By understanding that everything is grounded in emptiness, we start to see life with a sense of acceptance. When we realize that our struggles, ambitions, and desires are all just ripples on the surface of nothingness, we can let go of the need to control every aspect of life. In his own words, you can only let go of control when you realize you never had it in the first place. When we accept that everything arises from and returns to nothingness, we begin to live with a sense of surrender and flow, trusting that life, like the ocean, will carry us to where we need to be. The influence of nothingness on relationships and connection. Nothingness also impacts how we relate to others. Watts taught that when we understand our identity as grounded in emptiness, we stop seeing ourselves as isolated individuals. Instead, we realize we're part of a larger whole, like waves in the ocean, distinct but connected. By seeing ourselves as both unique and inseparable from the universe, we approach relationships with deeper compassion and understanding, free from attachment and ego. Nothingness as freedom from fear. Perhaps one of the most liberating aspects of Watts's view on nothingness is that it frees us from fear. He believed that many of our fears, particularly the fear of death, arise from the illusion of separateness. If we see ourselves as individual, isolated beings, the idea of death feels like an ending. But if we understand that we are part of an ever-present nothingness, death becomes just a transition, a return to the source from which all things come. Watts described it as returning to the womb of the universe, a place of infinite potential rather than an abyss. This perspective offers a profound peace, as we come to understand that life and death are two sides of the same coin, and that by embracing nothingness, we can live without the constant anxiety of clinging to things or fearing their loss. Alan Watts teaches us that nothingness is not something to fear or avoid, it's something to embrace. When we understand that everything we see, feel, and experience emerges from a foundation of emptiness, we gain a profound sense of freedom. We live with less fear, deeper compassion, and a clearer sense of purpose. We realize that every moment, every thought, and every experience arises from and returns to the same space of nothingness. As Watts so beautifully said, "You are the Big Bang, the original force of the universe, coming on as whoever you are. Embrace this nothingness as the very foundation of everything you are." Thank you for joining me on this exploration on nothingness. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to Achiever's Mindset Coach for more upcoming inspiring contents.